Welcome to my B&B Today's Show channel. I hope today fantastic for everyone. Please hit the subscribes button and give this video thumbs up. Carter left devastated as Hope chooses to spend Liam's final days together. Hope Logan makes the devastating choice to end her relationship with Carter Walton to focus on Liam Spencer's terminal diagnosis, creating a painful new reality for everyone involved on Bold and Beautiful. Hope crushes Carter as Liam's terminal diagnosis forces heartbreaking choice. Just when you thought Carter Walton and Hope Logan might patch things up after that whole company takeover fiasco, life throws the ultimate curveball. Liam Spencer's shocking terminal diagnosis has completely shattered any chance of Hope and Carter finding their way back to each other. And from what I'm hearing, Carter is absolutely devastated. Hope directs all attention to Liam's final days. Let's be real, Hope and Carter's relationship was already hanging by a thread after he sided with the Forresters during that whole company debacle. Remember how Hope felt utterly betrayed when Carter gave the company back to the Forresters, resulting in her being fired and losing her fashion line? That wound was still fresh. Very recent. But just as Carter was making headway with his desperate attempts to win back Hope's trust, Liam's terminal diagnosis changed everything. When Steffi Forrester broke the devastating news to Hope that Liam has an inoperable brain tumor, something shifted instantly inside Hope. And I don't blame her one bit. Carter's pleas fall on deaf ears. Poor Carter. My inside sources tell me he's been practically begging for another chance, pouring his heart out to Hope about how much she means to him. But Hope's mind is made up. Her priorities have completely shifted to making sure little Beth gets to spend quality time with her father during his final days. And honestly, what mother wouldn't make the same choice? Carter's pleas might as well be whispers in a hurricane. One set insider revealed to me exclusively. Hope can barely focus on anything but Liam and Beth right now. It's like Carter has become invisible to her. The dispute with the company that started it all, we can't forget that this romance was already on life support after Carter betrayed Hope during the Forrester takeover drama. Hope lost everything, her job, her fashion line, and her faith in the man she was falling in love, when Carter handed Ridge and the Forresters control of the company in March. Those famous words still echo. Go have fun with your brother Ridge and your chosen family, and leave me alone. Ouch. A family united in crisis. Sources close to production tell me that Hope's dedication to Liam during this tragic time has been nothing short of extraordinary. Despite their rocky past and all those love triangles with Steffi, Hope has put everything aside to create a supportive environment for Liam and Beth. The scenes they've been filming are absolutely gut-wrenching, my source confided. Even the crew has been struggling to hold it together during takes. What's next for heartbroken Carter? With Hope firmly committed to spending Liam's final days as a family unit, what does this mean for our perpetually unlucky in love Carter? Let's face it, this guy cannot catch a romantic break. First Maya, then Zoe, followed by that torrid affair with Quinn, a brief thing with Katie, and now Hope slipping through his fingers. Is the man cursed? Some fans are speculating that this heartbreak might push Carter back toward professional success, doubling down on his COO position at Forrester Creations. Others wonder if a certain other Logan sister might be waiting in the wings. The emotional fallout continues. One thing's crystal clear: the emotional tsunami created by Liam's diagnosis is only beginning to hit the shores of everyone's lives. Hope's decision to focus solely on Liam and Beth during this tragic time has left Carter as collateral damage in the wake of this devastating news. Will Carter eventually accept Hope's decision and move on? Or will he continue fighting for the woman he loves, hoping she'll eventually find room in her heart for him again, once the dust settles? All I know for sure is that the tears are flowing both on screen and off, as this heart-wrenching story continues to unfold. Stay tuned. Soap fans, this emotional roller coaster is just getting started. Hope lets go of Carter to focus on Liam. Liam Spencer has spent the last few weeks coming to terms with his fatal diagnosis, and trying to accept that the mass on his brain is inoperable. He has leaned heavily on his ex, Steffi Forrester, and her doctor husband John Finnegan, to help him get through this devastating news. Steffi told Hope that Liam is dying. Liam and Steffi share a daughter, and he is staying in the guest house for now, so that he can spend as much time with Kelly as possible. Steffi has insisted that Liam also share his diagnosis with Hope Logan, with whom he also shares a daughter. Steffi is ignoring her usual hatred for Hope and insisting that she needs to know what is happening so that she can then help little Beth. Liam went to talk to Hope, but couldn't tell her the truth, leaving Steffi to do it. Steffi finally showed kindness to Hope after years of fighting, knowing that Hope would also be devastated when she found out about Liam's diagnosis. They both have been married to Liam, and both have a young daughter with him, so Hope and Steffi are in a similar situation. Hope had already been thinking a lot about Liam and contemplating a reunion. Now that she knows that the time left with him is limited, Hope can't help but feel the pull towards Liam. She can take care of him and be a family with him and Beth for as much time as there is left, and that is Hope's plan. Steffi can't get in the way of it because she is married to Finn, and she wants Liam surrounded by all of his family. Hope breaks it off with Carter. Hope's relationship with Carter Walton has already been on ice since he gave the Forresters back their company. Hope felt betrayed when Carter retained his job, and then watched as she was fired. She cut him out of her life, and only recently has Hope calmed down enough to even talk to Carter, who is pleading for another chance at their relationship. She was contemplating giving things another try, but news of Liam's illness has made Carter seem pretty unimportant now. This turn of events means that her focus is on only Liam. Hope and Steffi bond Luna's ambush, and Bill summoned the beautiful and the bold are here. Luna Nozawa ambushes John Finnegan in today's episode. Liam Spencer summons Bill Spencer. Plus, Hope Logan and Steffi Forrester Finnegan bond. Discovery and denial. Hope hears from Steffi that Liam has a brain tumor. He's dying. Hope seems to be in disbelief. She tries to call Liam, but Steffi stops her. Steffi finally goes through how she found out. It was really random. She just happened to go to Bill's house and Liam was on the ground. She called 911 and they thought it was a brain injury at first. Later, doctors realized Liam has a brain mass. Hope brings up treatments. Her rival informs her that the tumor is inoperable. Steffi mentions that Liam wanted her to keep the secret, but she felt Hope deserved to know. Read more. Find out what happened on the last episode of B&B. Hope thanks her for that. Hope starts to cry when they bring up Liam and the girls. She doesn't know how to say goodbye. Steffi reaches out to embrace Hope. Liam Spencer's dizzy spells. At the Cliff House, Finn talks to Liam about the situation. Liam says most of the time he feels fine. Then he nearly collapses. He finally admits that he's been having dizzy spells. It's a few times a day now. This doesn't surprise Finn. The doctor promises they are doing everything possible to extend his time on Earth. But he'll need emotional support and he needs to let his loved ones say goodbye. What about Hope, Bill, and Wyatt Spencer? Finn brings up that Kelly Spencer and Beth Spencer won't be okay if they aren't prepared for his death. Sheila Carter Sharp's support. The bold and the beautiful recap for today's episode reveals that at Il Giardino, Luna comes in to talk to Sheila Carter Sharp. Luna wants a relationship with her father. Sheila and Luna bond over how alike they are. Then, Sheila brings up how much Luna is maturing and growing up. Luna is upset nobody wants anything to do with her, but refuses to allow Steffi to block her from Finn. Sheila warns that Finn always sides with Steffi. Just when Hope Logan thought she could reclaim a measure of peace in her turbulent life after weathering betrayal, loss, and a professional implosion, she is yet again thrown into emotional turmoil by the most devastating news imaginable. Liam Spencer, the man who has been her co-parent, ex-husband, confidant, and emotional compass through so much, is dying. The weight of his terminal diagnosis falls like a sledgehammer on everything she was beginning to rebuild. And standing in the ruins of her heart, watching it all fall apart again, is Carter Walton, who had just begun to dare to hope that he and Hope might find something real together. It's a cruel irony that a man named Hope would become a symbol of impossible love in her life. In the wake of Liam's diagnosis, an inoperable brain tumor that no treatment can fix, Hope's carefully compartmentalized emotions come spilling out, and every intention she had to protect her heart or Carter's vanishes beneath the crushing gravity of impending loss. Carter, who had been trying so hard to reclaim her trust after the Forrester takeover scandal, is utterly blindsided when she delivers the news. She can't continue their relationship. She's choosing to spend Liam's final days as a united family with Beth. No matter how much he pleads, no matter how earnestly he professes his love, no matter how sincerely he apologizes for siding with the Forresters, none of it can break through the grief fog enveloping Hope. Her focus has narrowed to a single burning priority. Beth must have time with her father before it's too late. And somewhere deep inside, Hope knows that she too needs to say goodbye to Liam in a way that's full, not fractured. Whole, not hollow. She doesn't want regrets. As much as Carter aches for her, the timing of Liam's diagnosis makes it impossible for Hope to consider a future with anyone else, not while the man who once held her heart is slipping away by the hour. Carter, for all his emotional strength, is left crumpled in the shadows of a love that never had a chance to flourish. He's no stranger to romantic disappointments. History reads like a list of near misses and heartbreaks, but this one feels different. With Maya there was the secret. With Zoe the scandal. With Quinn the betrayal. With Katie the hesitation. But with Hope there was genuine potential. It was a connection that felt like it could finally go the distance. She saw in him someone who stood for truth and loyalty, until that loyalty was tested during the Forrester Creations power struggle. Carter had sided with Ridge, with the Forresters, with tradition. Hope had felt abandoned, discarded, betrayed. And though Carter tried tirelessly to explain himself, to show her that his actions were meant to preserve stability rather than strip her of her dreams, the damage was done. Hope was without a fashion line. She lost her self-assurance. And for a time she lost Carter. But after weeks of distance and reflection, the ice had begun to thaw. Tentative conversations started anew. A lunch here. A walk there. A smile that lasted longer than expected. There was room for possibility again. But then, in one moment, one hospital corridor, one CT scan, one tearful admission from Steffi, the future they might have had vanished like smoke. She was unable to let go of the man Hope had once promised would never leave her. He was dying. She still saw Liam and Beth as the family unit, regardless of what Carter offered. Carter was the future. Liam was the past. But that past, broken and complicated as it was, still held pieces of her soul. Carter was never going to win. The moment Steffi told Hope the truth, how she'd found Liam collapsed at Bill's house, how the doctors mistook it for a head injury, how further scans revealed an aggressive, inoperable tumor, Hope's entire world began to collapse inward. The woman who once swore she'd never allow Liam to hurt her again now found herself aching with guilt over time lost, over harsh words spoken, over the gap that had grown between them. The fighting, the betrayal, the years of tension with Steffi, all of it felt meaningless in the face of mortality. And in a rare moment of compassion, Steffi didn't fight her. She didn't claim territorial rights over Liam or shut Hope out of the picture. Instead, she reached out with empathy, telling Hope the one thing she knew would break her heart. Liam didn't have long. And though Hope tried to maintain her composure, she couldn't. The tears came swiftly and without shame. For all the bitterness between them, Hope and Steffi found themselves bonded in shared grief. They were mothers to Liam's daughters, after all. They knew the stakes. They knew the void that was about to form. And in that moment, the war between them paused. Two women laying down their weapons in the face of death. Hope called Liam, desperate to hear his voice, but Steffi stopped her gently. "He didn't want you to know yet," she said. But secrets couldn't shield either of them now. The truth was out, and it demanded action. Hope made her decision swiftly. She went to Carter, sat across from him with trembling hands, and broke the news not just about Liam but about them. Her eyes were bloodshot, her voice cracked, and her apology was sincere but immovable. Carter listened in stunned silence as Hope told him she needed to focus on Beth and Liam now, to make sure their daughter didn't grow up without memories of her father. Carter asked if there was room in her heart for him at all. "There always will be," she said softly. "But not now. Maybe not ever." The words felt like knives to his heart. He wanted to shout, to rage against the unfairness of it all. But how does one combat death? How do you argue with a mother's instinct to protect her child's heart? You don't. You just break. And Carter did. Quietly, with dignity, he let her go. Not because he didn't love her but because he did. Meanwhile, Liam is struggling to accept the fragility of his remaining time. The symptoms are getting worse: dizzy spells, disorientation, moments of confusion. Finn, doing all he can to manage Liam's care, has told him that the focus now must shift from treatment to quality of life. Liam doesn't want to be pitted, but he also doesn't want to leave things unsaid. That's why he summoned his father, Bill. Why he's considering writing letters to Beth and Kelly. Why he asked Steffi to tell Hope, because he knows she deserves the truth, and he can't face delivering it himself. The guilt eats at him, For his failures, for his indecision between the women he loved, for not being the kind of man who deserved the outpouring of support he's now receiving. But he is receiving it especially from Hope. She shows up at the guest house not to fix the past, but to offer him something even more powerful, the present. They sit on the porch with Beth curled between them, and for the first time in what feels like a lifetime there's no tension. No triangle. Just love. Just family. Hope strokes his hair. When the headaches come, she laughs at his jokes even when they're weak. She cries in secret but she doesn't let him see, because her strength is the gift she can give him now. And Steffi? Surprisingly, she doesn't protest. Perhaps because she sees that Hope needs this as much as Liam does. Perhaps because Finn, ever the grounding presence, has helped her see the bigger picture. Or perhaps because she knows that in these final days, everyone deserves peace, not rivalry. She focuses instead on Kelly, on making sure her daughter gets these memories too. She doesn't flinch when Hope sits at Liam's side. She doesn't turn away when Hope kisses his forehead. Instead, they operate in tandem, two mothers, two halves of Liam's life, circling around him with grace, even as they prepare to say goodbye. The emotional toll on the entire canvas is seismic. Bill struggles with the helplessness of watching his son fade. Wyatt returns from his travels to support his brother, leaving his own life behind for now. Finn juggles his roles as doctor and stepfather, trying to be strong for Steffi while carrying the professional burden of knowing there's nothing more he can do. And Sheila, always lurking on the fringes, begins to show a strangely human side, bonding with Luna over parental loss, and the strange grief of watching someone you care about suffer. Luna, now pushing for a relationship with Finn, seeks answers from Sheila, hoping to understand the empathy that's blossoming unexpectedly between them. It's not redemption, not yet, but it's a shift. The ripple effects of Liam's diagnosis are spreading across every relationship, every storyline, in ways no one could have predicted. But it's Carter who suffers in silence. At Forrester, he throws himself into his COO duties with mechanical precision. He stays out of the break room. He skips the parties. He watches Hope from afar, and when no one is looking, he lets the pain out one breath at a time. Carter deflects Ridge's attempt to console him. Brooke wants to say something, but she doesn't know how. Only Katie, who knows Carter's heart better than most, offers quiet understanding. One night over drinks she tells him, "You did the right thing. Letting her go? That's real love." And Carter nods, though his throat tightens with emotion. Because in love sometimes you have to step back. Sometimes it means losing everything so someone else can have something more important. Hope's choice wasn't just about Liam, it was about closure. About choosing compassion over confusion. About making peace with a man who gave her a daughter, who loved her imperfectly but deeply, and who now needs her in a way no one else can fulfill. The coming days will be full of laughter and tears, of goodbyes whispered into the quiet night, of memory making and legacy building. And when the final curtain falls for Liam Spencer, Hope will be there. Beth will also. So will Steffi and Kelly. And maybe, just maybe, Carter will be watching from a distance, heartbroken, yes, but proud of the woman he loved, even if she was never his to keep. Would you like a follow-up that looks at what happens after Liam's death? And how it affects Carter and Hope in the future? It was the kind of decision that shattered not just hearts, but entire futures, echoing across the lives of everyone it touched. Hope Logan's choice to walk away from her slowly mending romance with Carter Walton to be by Liam Spencer's side during his final days did not come lightly, but once the weight of Liam's terminal diagnosis became too heavy to ignore, the shape of her heart irrevocably changed, and Carter, for all his sincerity and vulnerability, was left in the cold shadows of her grief-fueled resolve. As the story unfurled on The Bold and the Beautiful, it became clear that this wasn't just another chapter in Hope's tumultuous love story. Rather, it was a painful reckoning in which she was forced to make a choice that even she might not fully understand. It started, as it so often does in Los Angeles, with a devastating secret. Liam, her ex-husband and the father of her daughter Beth, had been diagnosed with an inoperable brain tumor. This was a condition that was so severe and rapid in its progression that there were the moment Steffi Forrester, tear-stained and trembling, revealed the truth to Hope, everything inside her shifted. Gone was the Hope who had been holding Carter at arm's length while processing his role in the Forrester Creations debacle, And in her place stood a woman resolute in her mission to give her daughter as many memories as possible with her father before time ran out. For Carter Walton, the man who had poured every ounce of his soul into trying to repair what had been broken between them after siding with Ridge and the Forresters in the power struggle that had cost Hope her fashion line and her identity as a designer, the news couldn't have come at a worse time, just as he was beginning to break through her icy exterior, just as the conversations were becoming less tense and more tender, just as forgiveness seemed like a distant but reachable destination. Hope's heart was pulled in a completely different direction, and no matter how eloquently Carter begged, no matter how passionately he expressed his regret and reminded her of the love they once shared, Hope's mind had crystallized around a single unshakable goal: to make Liam's last moments filled with peace, love, and family. Behind closed doors, Carter tried every emotional tactic: flowers, memories, long walks near the Malibu cliffs where they once dreamed of a future, but every gesture fell flat against the tidal wave of grief crashing through Hope's soul. And what hurt the most was not just that she was leaving him, but that she was doing so without malice or anger. In fact, it was with a deep sadness that she told him tearfully that she simply didn't have the bandwidth to be anything other than Liam's support system, and that Beth needed her mother to be strong, focused, and present, not distracted by a complicated love she no longer had the strength to navigate. As Carter stood in the Logan cabin one last time, watching Hope cradle Liam's hand as he rested under a blanket on the sofa, his chest rose and fell with the silent acceptance of a man who had finally lost a battle he never truly had a chance of winning. And though he would never admit it to anyone but his own reflection, a small part of him couldn't help but admire the depth of Hope's loyalty, the strength of her heart, even if it left his own heart in ruins. In the meantime, the past that had once bound Hope and Liam together in a circle of love, betrayal, reconciliation, and heartbreak took on a new hue. Now, instead of unresolved feelings, they were united in a solemn respect, shared grief, and mission to make sure Beth remembered her father in laughter, stories, and not in hospital gowns and whispered goodbyes. In the ordinary moments that made life extraordinary. Backstage at Forrester Creations, whispers circulated like wildfire: whispers that Carter had been seen crying in his office, that he was avoiding meetings, that his normally calm and composed demeanor had fractured under the weight of personal loss, and Ridge, ever the stoic patriarch, offered no words but a firm hand on the shoulder and a knowing nod that said, "I've been there." Brooke Logan, caught between her sympathy for Carter and her own maternal instincts to protect Hope from any added pressure, took the pragmatic stance that family must come first even if it meant leaving other relationships behind. And in private, she gently reminded Carter that Hope had always carried a piece of Liam with her, a piece that no other man, no matter how loving, could ever replace, especially now as that connection neared its heartbreaking conclusion. Steffi, surprisingly, offered Carter a rare moment of candor when she found him alone in the Forrester executive suite late one night, quietly telling him that she knew exactly how it felt to love someone who could never fully return that love because of ties deeper than desire. She, too, had lived through Liam's divided heart more times than she cared to admit, and now, even as she supported Hope's role in Liam's final chapter, she also mourned the love triangle that had finally, irrevocably, collapsed under the pressure of terminal fate. For the audience, the emotional resonance was overwhelming: scenes of Liam reading bedtime stories to Beth while Hope held back tears in the doorway, montages of flashbacks from happier times, and the solemn understanding between two co-parents turned soul-bound allies painted a picture of a family not bound by romance but by love in its rawest, purest form. The weight of impending death made every glance, every smile, every "I love you" charged with a kind of sorrow and beauty rarely explored with such nuance. And in the background, Carter's heartbreak became a silent echo, a testament to the idea that sometimes, doing the right thing means losing everything you hoped for. At Il Giardino, Deacon Sharp watched from a distance as Hope and Liam shared what might be their last public family meal, and even he, no stranger to moral ambiguity, admitted quietly to Sheila that for once, it seemed the universe had finally revealed what truly mattered, and it wasn't boardrooms or fashion lines, but memories, legacy, and the simple act of being present for those you love. As the days ticked by, fans noticed how Hope began to wear Liam's old flannel shirt around the house, how she meticulously planned family activities from mini photo shoots in the backyard to spontaneous cookie-making sessions with Beth, all in a desperate attempt to bottle these fleeting days into permanent memories. Liam, for his part, remained lucid longer than doctors expected, a phenomenon that the family chose to see as a small miracle rather than the final calm before the storm. He frequently expressed his desire for Beth to grow up surrounded by strength rather than sorrow, his desire for Hope to find love again, and his desire for forgiveness. Although his words were courageous, they were also devastating because they highlighted how aware he was of his diminishing time. In a particularly gut-wrenching moment, Carter sent Hope a simple message: "I'll wait, even if it's not forever." But there was no reply, not even a read receipt, because Hope was too consumed by the immediacy of now the sound of Liam's voice, the weight of Beth on his lap, the smell of pancakes and the morning details she once took for granted, now elevated into sacred ritual. Ridge, in a moment of rare softness, acknowledged to Brooke that he'd misjudged Hope in the past, calling her weak or indecisive, but that what he saw now was a woman embodying strength with every fiber of her being, even if it meant breaking hearts to do the right thing. As the storyline approached its emotional crescendo, with Liam's health rapidly declining and Beth asking harder questions that no child should have to ask, the audience was treated to a rare kind of storytelling, one that didn't hinge on dramatic betrayal or scandalous secrets, but on human connection, moral sacrifice, and the unrelenting power of love in the face of mortality. And for Carter Walton, sitting alone in his loft surrounded by untouched takeout and flickering memories of what might have been, the silence was deafening, but within it, he began to understand. Sometimes love means letting go, even when your heart is begging you to hold on, and sometimes the greatest expression of love is to disappear into the background, while the woman you adore stands beside the man she once loved as he fades into the dusk. The ache will remain for Carter.